One of the things that has been coming very easily for me is getting myself into the chair at Abraham workshops.
It's that orange shirt.
That's what I thought it was.
We want to speak very briefly to that. Once something that you want happens, it's easier to expect it the next time. So now you put out a desire that is laced with a feeling of belief, which is what expectation is. Expectation is a very powerful state of being. When you expect things to happen, wanted or unwanted, you are pretty well queued up for them. So when you get to the place of expecting something, it shows itself to you regularly.
What I'd like to know then is, how can I take my experience of this coming into the chair on a regular basis to talk with you and translate that into other desires in my life?
Well, the most important thing to understand is that when you really, really want something, and you have already developed a pattern of thought that I really want something that isn't happening, you have habits of thought it isn't happening that are active enough in your vibration that it slows you down. Where the first time you came here, you didn't know about the odds, you didn't think about the numbers, it was a smaller group of people, you were more relaxed in the idea of it. It wasn't life or death whether you got called on or not. That's why we encourage people, when they're wanting to understand their power of offering vibration deliberately and their power of watching the universal forces respond to their vibration, we always say start with easy things. And by that we mean, if you pick some subject that you've been struggling with for a very long time and you decide that that will be the first thing that you use to test your ability to work within law of attraction, what will happen to you is the vibration that is most active will hinder you and give you the results that you've been expecting. In other words, you already didn't think that was going to work. So we want you to focus upon the law and how it always responds. And the more you see that it works regarding that, then the more you will say, oh, well, what are the components that make it work with that? And every single time, the component that you're looking for is, I have less troubling thoughts about that than I do that. I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't doubting it. I didn't have long conversations about it. And here's what we really want you to hear. Oh, we love giving this to you. I didn't try so hard. Do you know every time you try, you point upstream? Feel the difference between, I'm going to heal myself. Feel how upstream that is. I'm going to do my best to allow my natural well-being. Whole different vibrational feeling, isn't it?
Thank you. If after the completion of today's workshop, Esther came to the end of her happy, healthy, dead plan, would there be a voice that would emerge for those of us that like to communicate with Abraham in this way, that it would be unmistakable that we would hear it?
Let us give you a little background on that. With all of the books and recordings and videos that have been offered, the ability that Esther has and the advantage that she has offered to so many of you is that because of her willingness to focus for so long, and because of the absence of resistance in her vibration, especially early on as she began to tune herself to the vibration of Abraham, she has a very close vibrational countenance to that which is us, which makes the translation easy. Now, there are all kinds of people around the planet that are vibrationally knowing this too. In other words, Esther is not the only one that is receiving us, and everything that everyone has received has been coming from this process in this similar way. In other words, you are all extensions of source energy. But the specifics of the terminology would vary. Jerry and Esther talk about this all the time as they're thinking about all of the people that have come before them in this work. There's a big flurry about The Secret and all kinds of people coming to them wanting to know how you feel about this. And Jerry and Esther say, when we think of all those who came before us, who were asking questions, who were opening this vortex that got that stream flowing, when they think of people like Neil Donald Walsh, when they think of people like Jane Roberts and Seth, when they think of Louise Hay or any number of people that have been opening this stream. They feel this stream moving, and then Jerry and Esther come along with their own questions, and they open their own vortex, and it opens a vortex that is very large, and a very large tributary of energy begins to dovetail into that river. And now the river is wider still, and then another comes, and another comes, and another comes, and another comes. Esther said to us early on, Abraham, why aren't all that are speaking from non-physical or purportedly doing it? It bothered her that they weren't all saying the same thing. Why aren't you guys all telling the same story? You're making it very rough on us down here. And we said, if you were all in the same place of asking, you would receive the same message. But because then we did not have the words to give her, Esther had not found the words about the stream, then we could not say to her in the clear way that we can now that sometimes you're here in the stream and sometimes you're here in the stream, and what feels upstream to you now might feel downstream to you later. Everyone's in a different sort of place. Everyone has access to source energy. You do not need Esther. You have your own connection to source energy. We just think it's nice that she tuned in and heard us so closely and documented us so accurately, because it is giving everyone a platform from which to now begin to ask their broader questions. When Jerry and Esther began their work, Esther or Jerry had never heard the term law of attraction. They had never heard those words. Esther remembered Seth talking about like attracting like, but there was no definition about it, no explanation of it. So Jerry, as he was reading the Seth materials, had all kinds of things written in the margins. You should see his books. He made spreadsheets. His desire to understand this was so powerful. They had a mattress with big spreadsheets under the mattress, and every night Jerry would read the book and add to his spreadsheet. As he was trying to find, Seth would say, we'll talk about that later, we'll talk about it later. And Jerry would say, where the hell did you talk about it later? I cannot find this anywhere. So when Esther began receiving, Jerry had all of these questions. He wanted to know, if I create my own reality, how is that so? If my point of power is in the present, that's what Seth said, your point of power is in the present. Jerry said, how is that so? What does that mean? What do I do about it? And so we've been answering that question for Jerry and others ever since. One day, early on in their experience, Jerry said, so Abraham, there is a law of gravity that we understand that has some sense of consistency. Are there other laws in the universe that govern what happens, that if we were to understand those laws, then we would have a basis of reference, a framework that we could then consistently get similar results from, something that's always the same? Don't you think that's an incredible question? Something that I will always know, and we've been answering that question ever since. And on that day, Esther heard for the first time the word law of attraction come forth from her. They began documenting it. They began writing about it. Jerry is not the only one that is wanting to know how things work. In other words, this is pulsing all over the planet. And so as more people are reaching for these thoughts, then anytime someone gives birth to a thought and verbalizes it and makes reference to it, you get a new vantage point from which to launch off, you see. And so long after Esther is dead in terms of this physical apparatus, there will be others like Jerry standing in the place like Jerry was standing, reading the material that Abraham has written through Esther, which to this point is documented and clear and concise and tells you everything that you would want to know about whatever you've asked about so far. Someone's going to read that book, clear as it is, wonderful as it is, perfect as it is, and say, what in the world do you mean about that? And with that powerful question within them, if they have the good fortune of someone like Esther in alignment enough with who she really is that she can hear clearly, they'll hear the next and the next and the next and the next and the next. For there is no ending to the expansion, which is you.
I am having a really good time in the stream, and sometimes it feels so good I'm afraid. Like I was driving here and I was thinking about how great my life is, and I get really emotional and I feel just so abundant and so blessed and everything is so great. And then I have a feeling like, well, my husband will probably die. I feel like it's maybe a position of unworthiness, or that whole sacrificial
thing.
Don't
make too much of it, because it really is simpler than that. In other words, people talk about waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Exactly.
And there is a sort of feeling within you that maybe things shouldn't be going so well for me, because I look around and things aren't going that well for others, and who am I for things to go well?
It's embarrassing.
But here is what we think is happening, and this is the part that we really want you to hear. So the reason that you are doing so well is because you have, one way or another, found how to find more thoughts that are in alignment with what you do want. And so that's why you're beginning to feel the momentum. Imagine a car going 100 miles an hour and hitting a tree. It's a bigger problem than a car going 5 miles an hour and hitting a tree. So what happens is, the more you deliberately apply thought, and the faster the stream moves, then the more it behooves you to watch where you're going. In other words, haven't you ever piddled around in a parking lot at 2 miles an hour, and you can pretty much put your makeup on at the same time? But when you're going 85 miles an hour, and you're driving the monster bus, and you have a car in tow behind you, and you have about 80,000 pounds rolling down this highway, you sort of kind of want to watch what you're doing. In other words, the stakes are higher the faster the energy moves. Just the fact that things are going well means energy is moving faster. So a slightly out of sync thought sticks out like a bigger sore thumb. But that's all it is just a thought of resistance. That's all it is. So as you're having those good thoughts, you say, I'm moving along, and then I have a thought that frightens me. You said the stream frightens me, but we want to say it differently. We want to say, I'm moving along with thoughts that are causing me to feel the momentum of my motion forward, and then, for whatever reason, I'm choosing a thought that turns me upstream. That's all that's happening. Downstream, 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 upstream. Downstream, 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 upstream. That's all.
Well, I
that's
feel
happening.
vulnerable. I think this would be the word that would categorize it for me. I feel vulnerable, like things are so great, and I shouldn't let my guard down because, you know, something could be lurking in the background that I'm not aware of, or there's going to be some experience that's going to set me back, and then I'll have to recover.
Well, every subject, no matter what it is two subjects. When you pick up the stick that has wellness on one end, it has sickness on the other. And when you pick up the stick that has abundance on one end, it has not abundance on the other. And so it's possible that on some of these subjects, you just haven't focused long enough with enough intent to really be sure that your vibration is where you want it to be. Esther said to Jerry as she was getting ready to come down, she saw this room last night and she was aware of its configuration, and she said to Jerry, it's better if I don't see the room before I walk into it. And Jerry says, why is that? And Esther said, because when I look at the room from Esther's point of view, it looks one way to me. And when I look at the room through Abraham's eyes, it looks another way. And Jerry said, well, what's the difference? And Esther said, well, maybe I feel a little self-consciousness when I look through my eyes. Maybe I feel a little stage fright when I look through my eyes. And I never feel that when I look through Abraham's eyes. So what we're wanting you to understand is sometimes you're just more in alignment with who you are than others. You're in the process of coming into complete alignment with who you are. And so those things that you call fears, it doesn't mean that something bad's going to happen. It means this thought is contrary to what I want to happen. That's what it means. This thought is contrary to what I want to happen. So stop. Bless yourself for your awareness of the guidance, and then talk to yourself about how silly that thought was. In other words, talk yourself back into alignment. No matter how wonderful your life becomes, you're still standing on a platform where you're asking for more. So there are always unknowns. But when you have shown yourself the universal response to your deliberate aligning of thought, relative to one subject, then you begin to trust in the universal's response to others. In other words, when you get it that you are worthy, then you stop worrying about so many things. You used that word. You said, I think it's something about my not feeling that I deserve it. And we say, and every time you say that, you turn back upstream. You almost choke on those words. I think I'm not deserving. Then how do you explain the well-being that's flowing? Well, maybe I'm only as deserving as the well-being that is flowing. Maybe I'm asking for more than my fair share. And we say, feel how your inner being feels about that. Feel how screwy thoughts like that are.
Silly.
That's the way you know. You are where you are, and you want to be someplace in relationship to where you are. And that guidance is always, always there. And in every case, negative emotion means you're turned away from what you want. It doesn't mean something bad is going to happen and you're being warned. It means you're turned away from what you want. It doesn't mean you are unworthy and aren't going to get what you want. It means you're turned away from what you want. It doesn't mean you should have done something earlier in this life in a different way or in a past life. It doesn't mean you needed a blessing from someone outside of you. It means you're turned away from what you want. That's all negative emotion ever means. I'm pointed this way when I want to go this way. Can you imagine Jerry and Esther, they're out in the desert and they're headed back to Phoenix, and Esther's saying, I wanted to go to San Diego. I wanted to go to San Diego, and look, we're only 30 miles from Phoenix now. Look, we're 29 miles from Phoenix. I wanted to go to San Diego, but look. And Jerry would say, you've got your hand on the steering wheel. Turn the car around. Turn the car around and go the other direction. That's all the negative emotion is saying to you.